So this is going to be a very special video because I want to take you on a journey from when I was a 16-year-old struggling in school, feeling genuinely misunderstood by my teachers and people around me to where I am today as a successful entrepreneur. Before we get started on this journey, I would like to thank everyone who has been subscribing to the channel recently. We just hit 20,000 subscribers and it means the absolute world to me that you guys are appreciating all the value that I drop for absolutely free on the channel. So if you want to support me, give us a sub. It would mean the world. So I'm kind of going to start by telling you where I'm at now today and the successes I've had, and then we will go backwards and I'll tell you exactly how I got here. So recently I had the most popular mobile app in the world. It was called Wordle. We'll get more into that story in a little bit, but I'm very blessed and lucky to say that I was able to be a part of that whole movement that kind of captured the world by storm. I built and sold a social media marketing agency, and I'm currently scaling my mobile app that helps people quit vaping to $40,000 in monthly recurring revenue. That's where we sit today in that business. And more recently, I'm entering the world of B2B SaaS with my latest project. It is called Posted, and more on all of these in a little bit. So the nature of these businesses is they're all recurring revenue businesses. They make money while I'm not working. So that allows me to be able to travel to amazing places like Spain and kind of work wherever I want and work when I want, just from my laptop. I built this from ground zero. So my goal in this video is not to flex or ask you to compare yourselves to me. I just genuinely want to inspire other younger entrepreneurs out there to go after it, take a bet on themselves, and do what they want to do in life, because that was me. I was a young, struggling, wannabe entrepreneur, and I didn't have that many people to look up to. And a lot of the people I looked up to were on YouTube. So that's why I'm here today sharing my journey. And I want you to be able to build a life of freedom like this and build really cool things on the internet that millions of people around the world can benefit from. So I want to make it very clear that everything I did was possible, and you can do it too. Yes, I got lucky along the way, but it was because I took bets on myself and I never gave up. I always was building new things. So I gave myself plenty of opportunity to get lucky in business and to be in this position now. So this is going to be an extremely raw video. I'm going to walk you through my entire journey. So I will leave timestamps in the video if I get boring at some point and you want to slide through. One thing I want to start with too is that I would not be here today without all of the failures and, problems that I ran into in life early on, right? The failed businesses, failed relationships, struggles that I went through in my younger years, like they all brought me to this position here, and I learned and stacked skill on top of skill on top of skill, which has allowed me to have my businesses in the place they are now. With that being said, let's jump into it. So the journey starts like many struggling student in school. I didn't have the best grades ever. And I got in trouble for that, right? At school, my parents weren't necessarily happy that I was getting the worst grades ever. So I would get in trouble, right? And I think that kind of led me down this path of like wanting more freedom and not being told what to do by like teachers or whoever, right? So I kind of wanted freedom more than anything. And I saw being an entrepreneur as a path to freedom to, make my own money, do what I wanted to do. And, my dad was a salesman. So I kind of watched him growing up and, he told me, son, never work for the man and this type of stuff. So I was always trying to sell things. And I watched the movie The Social Network when it came out in theaters. I think I was like 12 or 13 years old at the time. The movie about Mark Zuckerberg building Facebook. And that inspired the crap out of me. And I went home after watching that movie and I learned how to code. I learned to build websites. I built simple websites, and then I was like, all right, cool. Now, how do I make money from these websites? And that's kind of how I discovered social media. So I started on Twitter, and I built Twitter accounts that would send traffic to my websites that had ads on them, Google AdSense ads. People would click on the ads and I would make money. And that was kind of how I made my first dollar in online business. But that taught me so many valuable skills. Number one, it taught me how to code. Number two, it taught me how to leverage social media to get free traffic to my websites. So I realized the value in these two things and the scale that it could bring, because there was no limit to how many people I could send to a website. Later on, I, was still doing the Twitter stuff, and I started to drop ship, and I actually drop shipped those hoverboards. Remember the ones with two wheels that you would lean on and go with? Yeah. So I launched that business, and using the knowledge that I had from Twitter, I would send traffic to that Shopify page, and it absolutely blew up. I think we did $60,000 in sales revenue, not profit. And we met Fetty Wap, we met all sorts of rappers, and we were giving them hoverboards. We thought we were on top of the world, right? But what ended up happening was the shipping times were terrible, and the flights from China that our supplier said were coming, they weren't coming. So we ended up getting charged back a lot. And when it was all said and done, we'd barely made any money from our drop shipping e-commerce booming business, right? So that kind of taught me about the negatives of running e-commerce and handling shipping and like inventory and all this stuff. So from that point on, I knew I was going to go back to what I knew: websites, software, and eventually apps. So kind of after I failed in drop shipping, I was like, okay, I need to be able to control the product that I'm building. I don't want to rely on a manufacturer from China. I don't want to rely on Google advertisers to be bringing me money. I want to have my own product that is mine. So I discovered mobile apps, and I thought they were very cool. The first mobile app that I built, complete flop. Complete flop. But it was just cool to have my name in the store and have a game that my friends could play. The next mobile app that I built was a puzzle game called Grid. It is still on the App Store today. People still play it 10 years later, which is crazy. But that ended up being a popular game. And again, I used Twitter to promote that game. And that was how I got my first $10,000 month in business. My first $10,000 profit month in business was with that mobile app. So I was hooked at that point, right? And after Grid, I built another mobile app called Wordle, which was a word game. And, that game was decent, but it didn't have, the revenue potential that Grid had. So I kind of set it to the side and considered it a dead project, and kept focusing on Grid up until college. We'll come back to Wordle later. It's important in the story. But yeah, then I went to college, and I went to a college called Pepperdine. It's in California. And I joined a fraternity, and college was an amazing time for me, right? I built so many social relationships. I have friends for life that I met in college. So it was amazing. And I graduated by the grace of God. I graduated somehow. But there was a point in college, like my junior year, when I was just partying and I wasn't really building anything. I wasn't being an entrepreneur like I always wanted to be. And I fell into a deep depression because, I was kind of like lost and didn't know what I wanted to do. And I was missing that one thing that I had throughout my entire life, which was, I was building businesses. In college, at that point in college, I wasn't really building anything. So, I graduate college. Actually, in my senior year of college, everyone got addicted to vaping, and I did too, just like my friends did, right? So I knew this was going to be a problem for a long time. And I had the idea to build a mobile app that would help people quit vaping. And when I started building this project, it kind of brought me out of that bad season that I was going through, right? Because I finally had something that I could work on again, that I could build, and it kept me motivated, it kept me occupied. And I was able to push for that next goal. So I started building PuffCount in college. Shortly after there, I graduated, and PuffCount wasn't really generating enough money for me, so I had to get a 9-to-5. I worked in an affiliate marketing agency, and I loved it. I learned a ton. So I was always building PuffCount on the side. I was posting on TikTok for PuffCount. Go check out the PuffCount TikTok. I absolutely blew it up. Consistently posted TikToks every single day. So that's kind of how I got the initial early traction for PuffCount. And because PuffCount was doing so well on TikTok, other brands started to take notice and wanted to, work with me. So I partnered up with my buddy, Samay, and we started an agency. We started a social media marketing agency, and we did TikTok content for brands. And I was doing the agency, PuffCount, and my 9-to-5 all at the same time. I was hustling to make it work. And then, everything changed for me, right? Because around this time, I think it was December of 2021, Wordle suddenly blew up. And I was at my parents' house for Christmas, hanging out, and I checked my App Store Connect dashboard, right, to see how PuffCount was doing and stuff like that. And I saw that Wordle had 300,000 downloads out of nowhere. I thought they were fake. I thought they were bot downloads. Come to find out, I Google Wordle. There's a New York Times article that says Wordle is a love story. And I'm like, what? There's no way they can be talking about the game that I built 5 years ago when I was 16 years old. Come to find out, another developer had built another game on the browser called Wordle. And because people are searching for the game, they would go to the App Store, right? You don't go to the internet to search for a game. You go to the App Store. And they type in Wordle, and lo and behold, my 6-year-old game shows up, and people started downloading it. So I reached out to the other developer, and I was like, hey man, this isn't supposed to be happening. I want to figure out a way we can donate the proceeds, because I am making some money on this. So we linked up. I was able to donate to a charity called Boost Oakland out in Oakland, California. And yeah, that whole saga of my life was absolutely insane. It was probably the craziest 6 to 8 months of my life. I was getting hit up by reporters because Wordle became the biggest game ever, and I got sucked up into it. So I was getting hit up by reporters. I was going to interviews. I was going to events, and it gave me a lot of validation as an entrepreneur. And of course, I got extremely lucky and extremely blessed. But that didn't happen for any just random reason, right? I truly believe that God made that happen so that I could be validated as an entrepreneur and have a platform to be able to inspire other younger entrepreneurs to go after it and crush it and take a bet on themselves, because you never know what is going to happen with your business. You just have to take a chance and go for it. So that whole thing blew up. Wordle became super popular. I definitely benefited from it, and I was able to quit my 9 to 5 and focus full time on my agency and Puff Count. So that's what I did for a long time. I grinded, left the agency about a year ago now, and kind of went full time on Puff Count and this new project that I'm building, which is called Posted. And if you watch any of my other videos on my channel, you will know exactly how I've been scaling Puff Count. We went from $3,000 a month to $40K a month in the span of 6 months. And you can check out my other videos to see exactly how I did that. I literally share everything in those videos. The reason I left my agency was because we had built it for 2 years and we went from basically nothing to, 30K in the first couple months, all the way up to, I think our best month in the agency was $150,000. And the agency that we built and also my 9 to 5 working at an affiliate marketing agency taught me so many valuable skills. They taught me how to be a manager, how to hire a team, how to work with people and be collaborative in sort of a work environment. So those skills have served me very well when I've hired people for my future projects like Posted or Puff Count. And if you watch the videos, you'll know that I hire a lot of people off Upwork. And actually, to get by in school, I hired a lot of people off Upwork to do homework for me. So, that entrepreneurial spirit was always there throughout school. And I was learning even back then how to be an entrepreneur. Right now, I am living a nomad life because, again, the nature of my businesses is recurring revenue. So I'm able to travel and do whatever I want. That's kind of where I'm at now. And I'm taking another big swing at a business in Posted. Posted is a marketplace for brands and creators to connect and make content for each other. So that's pretty much my story and kind of where I'm at. And, I didn't even mention all the failed businesses that I had throughout that story, but there were so many, like I can't even remember them all. Failed apps, failed e-commerce businesses, failed copywriting, SEO, trading, Forex, crypto, like you name it, I've probably done it. But because I didn't give up on myself and because I stayed true to, this mission I have to be an entrepreneur, it happened and it can happen for you. That's it. I hope you enjoyed this rundown of my story. And if you want to reach out to me, ask me anything at all, I will always get back to you on Instagram. So just reach out to me on Instagram, leave a comment. If you watch this long, you probably like the video. So give it a like. That would mean the world for me. But yeah, keep crushing it and stay inspired. Peace.